Hi, I'm John Vanderbeek. I'm a Saugatuck resident now for about 10 years. I moved here about 10 years ago from the New York City metro to raise my family because we found Saugatuck to be perfect for everything we were looking for. We wanted a small town with an art scene. We wanted to be able to walk out our door and go on a hike. We wanted parks, and of course we wanted the Great Lakes. So I'm here to present to you something that's taken 10 years of living here to realize, and I'm calling it the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan. What is the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan? First of all, it's a tri-community effort. It involves Douglas, the city of Saugatuck, and the township of Saugatuck that basically surrounds both the city of Saugatuck and the town of Douglas. And what are we doing? What is the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan? Well, it's at its heart, it's a conservation effort. We seek to not only find new parcels of land that are wooded and virgin forest or secondary growth forests. We want to catch all these pieces of land with forests before they get developed to see if there's a better idea than just letting developers do what they want. But we're not against developers, and we're not against private land use. The Tri-Community Trail Master Plan wants to conserve parcels of woods, but we want to work with real estate agents, city officials, developers, and just make sure that we have a chance to get some things taken care of that we can't take care of once it's too late. In other words, if we have a parcel of, say, 20 acres and we think it'll be developed someday, we're looking to work with the private landowners to make an easement alongside of the property if we can connect a point A to a point B. So in the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan, we've isolated several destination points that all the tourists and the people that live here alike go to frequently. Wouldn't it be nice if it was all interconnected by natural trail systems? We have hundreds of acres that haven't been touched by developers. My goal in this Tri-Community Trail Master Plan is to develop relationships with most of the landowners for parcels that are greater than 5 acres and are mostly natural and wooded, if not virgin forest, second growth forests. And where we can't conserve a whole piece of land, maybe we can make a trail. So, how do we do this? Well, we develop relationships with all the city leaders and the nature conservation leaders. There are several leaders in our area already. The Outdoor Discovery Center is doing a lot of work. The Land Conservancy of West Michigan has done a lot of work, and you know that from their work at the Harbor Shore Natural Area, and also the Talmadge Woods has recently been conserved with the Land Conservancy. We look to do this by building relationships with everybody, all the parcel owners, the developers, the real estate agents that are actively selling the land in our area and deciding how it's going to be used. So let's first look back at the history of conservation in our area. I think it's a very interesting story that I started to dig into, and so I'll share it with you because in order to conserve in the future, I think it's important to appreciate the past. So here's a little bit of a history lesson, and I'm not a historian, but I'm going to tell you my best effort to be correct. In 1882, that was the year that the town of Saugatuck decided to set aside Mount Baldhead as a park, as a city park. And in 87, they decided to forest that dune because it kept moving eastward towards the river. And so they forested the dune, and they also put 282 steps up in 1931. So up until 31, anybody that went to the top of Mount Baldhead had to really work up that dune. Some other conservations in our past. Now remember, nearly all these conservations of our past have been acquired and achieved by just a small handful of philanthropists and also some civic leaders, like in 1882 when they set aside Mount Baldhead Park. Now, Oval Beach. How did that happen? 1936. Actually, the United States government came in and they set a lot of things up, and the state of Michigan came in and created Oval Beach, and they created Oval Beach by just making an agreement with the Presbyterian camp, and they actually cut through part of their camp and through there where they could make it, and they put an oval parking lot there and called it Oval Beach. And Oval Beach, the name stuck here in Saugatuck, and it became what you know now as it's basically a strip of a parking lot rather than an oval now. But since then, Oval Beach, the next big event for Saugatuck, for conservation in Saugatuck, is in 1941. And that's when the Talmadge Woods area, I think it's about 125 acres up there, got conserved through Thomas Talmadge. He wrote it in the deed. I'm not entirely sure whether he was still alive or whether this was in his will, but maybe somebody could comment and let me know. But the next big conservation effort in our area, you have to fast forward up into the 1970s. And remember, there's a bunch of things that happened in between. There's a lot of destination points. And there's little parks and things like this. And I'm just trying to stick to the main highlights here. But in the 1970s, that's when the Saugatuck State Park was founded. And if you fast forward then to the next big event, it was in 2011, I think they started the work on the Harbor Shore Natural Area, and then that was definitely done by 2014. So by the time I was here, just a few years of living here, they had established another 170 acres of beachfront land from Oval Beach all the way up to the river. And that was a fantastic effort that was led by just a small handful of philanthropists and backed up by city officials, backed up by the DNR, the Land Conservancy, and a long list of donors, a short list you can find on the north part of Oval Beach yourself and read up on it. It's a fantastic history. So the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan really realizes that how things have happened in the past. It's difficult now to make things happen when we have three different governments trying to work together to try to make things happen. So this Tri-Community Trail Master Plan is founded really to try to fill the gaps and get the boots on the ground and make things happen now. So what are we doing right now? We're actually actively making trails through private property. So not only boots on the ground, we take lawnmowers and we take axes and we take chainsaws, and we literally make trails with the permission of landowners, and we're starting to work with these same landowners to make official forever public easements through their land. And so the big picture is really sustainability on the planet. Everybody wants to do something about the environmental issues of the day. We have deforestation across the whole planet. Everybody is heartbroken over the loss of rainforests, the loss of habitat, the extinction of animals, and so forth. And it's very difficult for us to know what to do. Well, I have a few ideas on what we can do locally. And that's the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan. And right now is a very, very good time to do conservation and even easement work, because even if you take just a 50-foot section of somebody's property, and that still counts as conservation. That's habitat for somebody, for some animals, and that's saving trees. So we are supported by the government through the CARES Act. This year they started offering 100% write-off to landowners, and any charitable contribution actually is 100% write-off of your gross income, rather than last year it was 60%. And we don't know when it'll drop back down. So it's a very good boost for conservation right now that we should try to take advantage of. Another thing is that we have working for us is something called the Kalamazoo Greenway Plan. That's a state plan, and I'll show you a picture of it. There's a whole book. The Outdoor Discovery Center was assigned by the state to develop this Lower Kalamazoo Greenway Plan. Just so happens that what we're working on here ties right into that effort, that state effort. So we have support from the ODC. We have support from the Land Conservancy. Now, what are we doing different than what the Land Conservancy and what town officials have? There's great efforts being done with these people every day. But what I'm trying to do with the Trail Master Plan is shine a light down the tunnel, the proverbial tunnel of what we can do in the future and what we can't do once development is taken over and we can't change it anymore. What can be done now, working with development, that can't be done later. This effort can be in balance with development efforts and real estate efforts, and not instead of, because we still have private property rights and we still want to develop a flourishing community. So we'll show you a set of destination points on this map, and there's a set of destination points, and these are our major destination points at Saugatuck. And you can see there, we have on the top, we have the state park beaches, the state park trails, we have Goshorn Lake access, we have a Blue Star Veterans Park, we have the Kalamazoo Channel, we have the Cove, the Crow's Nest View, Oxbow Lake, Oval Beach, Mount Baldhead, we have Douglas Beach, we have Wade's Bayou, we have the Peterson Preserve outside of town, and there's a lot of trail easements all around there if you walk around the Peterson's Preserve. Before that, some of those properties went private. The trails were set up ahead of time, which is why we're doing the Trail Master plan like this, because we need to set this up ahead of time, because landowners won't really agree to public easements after they build their house there. Anyway, we have the dog park, and we have beautiful things like the Wade's Preserve out Old Algon Road and River Bluff Park, and the boat launch on the other side, catty-corner to the highway at the River Bluff. And so the major points that we want to cover with the Trail Master Plan is how do we make the plans of the Lower Kalamazoo River Greenway Plan really happen? How do we make the Tri-Community Trail Master Plan really happen? I mean, the Tri-Community Master Plan, rather. It's that's the plan that our three communities made to have a concerted effort. And Chapter 8 deals with exactly what I'm talking about right here. It's saving greenway spaces around the river. It's creating trails. It's creating parks. And so what the Trail Master Plan of Saugatuck and Douglas sets out to do is we want to influence the next master plan to be more specific. Now. Let's mention specific lots, specific parcels, specific landowners that we can approach and start to work out deals, start to work on funding. Let's approach and the right grants, the right philanthropists, and see what can be done now that can't be done later. And I'll tell you right now, in a map, the Trail Master Plan of Saugatuck and Douglas's map, it's an 11-point map, and these are specific things that we can work into our civic planning as we move forward. Number one, we have the Oxbow Loop. Everybody knows, or if you don't know, the Oxbow Lake, right north of Oval Beach, used to be the old river route in the 1800s. And when the state came in and carved out the new channel, they basically abandoned the river, and there's this great little lake that results from that. And right now you can hike up either side of it You can hike up the eastern part to a place called Crow's Nest, where you overlook the whole natural area, the Saugatuck Harbor natural area. And you can also walk up the Saugatuck Natural Harbor area, but you can't walk all the way around it. So I spoke to the Land Conservancy, April at the Land Conservancy, and I said, would it ever be possible to make a bridge across there down from Talmadge Woods near Crow's Nest and connect over to the Cove? And the Cove is where the river channel goes out into the Lake Michigan. And I said it would be great if we had a loop there. If you can walk to from Oval Beach all the way around the whole thing and walk through those marshlands over a man-made bridge. And that's number one. Number two is create a natural path that connects Douglas to Mount Baldhead Woods, because there's a large section of property that's private. The Mount Baldhead and area and the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area and Talmadge Woods, it all equals to about 425 acres north of Perryman Street. South of Perryman Street, there's a lot of private parcels still, but there's a lot of woods, and there's actually existing trails, old trails in there that connect Campbell Street all the way up into Perryman or Vine Street. And, so number two on the Trail Master Plan would be connecting Douglas to Mount Baldhead through woods. Number three would be connecting it sidewalk down Perryman, so it's not so dangerous to walk up Park and down Perryman to the beach. Everybody's driven to the beach and seen the problems that we have when you drive down and you feel like you're going to hit somebody's baby carriage. I'm very uncomfortable with the way it is on Park Street and Perryman. And number three is the effort to make a sidewalk that connects the new development that will be at the Hayworth Center area. The new development there plans on having an ADA trailhead. It's very flat land down there, so you can have a trailhead that's wheelchair accessible. And that trailhead can actually connect all the way up to pretty close to Oval Beach before it gets a little bit hilly again along Park. So that's number three, as you can see here on the map. Number four is the State Park Natural Connecting Trail. It goes from 135th Street behind Eiley's, where the North Shore is developing, where Padnos is developing the North Shore there. There's still about 200 acres there that haven't been resolved what they want to do, but there are existing trails, old trails that connect 135th Street to the state park, and it's some of the most beautiful territory in our area and crucial to the future of our area to be able to walk to State Park from essentially downtown Saugatuck. You could get on the bike path, you can get up to near Eiley's, go behind Eiley's and walk to State Park. This is a crucial part of the Saugatuck and Douglas Trail Master Plan. Expansion of Blue Star Park. If you notice across from the Dairy Days on Blue Star in Saugatuck, there's old remnants of the Blue Star highway system of the 50s, and they used to have a lot of highway side parks with a little grill and a shelter, and that's one of these parks right here, but it's only the roadside. Just so happens there's 25 acres of land that's second growth natural forest right behind it that's for sale right now. I'm talking with the landowner, and we're talking about different plans for that. But number 5 on our list is ideally turning that into a park and preserving all of it. That's a higher goal. That's not a moonshot, but it's close, because it's about $900,000 we'd have to come up with in funding to be able to turn that into a park. But maybe the landowner will allow us to have a trail easement going through and expand the park about 50 feet. So we're in talks about that right now. In the meantime, let's be pragmatic and let's make a plan that works with what we have now. We don't have $900,000, but we do have a landowner that's willing to talk and listen to our ideas. So number 5 is doing what we can with that Blue Star Memorial Park. Number 6 is creating a highway loop trail. Essentially, the River Bluff Park, Township Park, down Old Allegan Road on the right, it's a bit underutilized, but it's also it's not connected to anything else by trail. So we're working with private landowners adjacent, and we're trying to make it connect up into a 134th Street area that also connects into those neighborhoods behind the Blue Star Park, and can actually connect to the Blue Star Park eventually too. Maybe having to walk on the sidewalk on the streets too a little bit, but yet this highway loop on number 6 you see on the map goes from Old Allegan, where there's an overpass that you can get under the highway, all the way up to the entrance ramp up behind the gun shop. There's over 130 acres of woods along these highways. I would love it if anybody driving through Saugatuck always saw woods on either side of the highway when they're driving by Saugatuck. And if you had a 50-foot easement along all of these 30, 25 acre, 20 acre plots of land over there, if you had a 50-foot easement for a trail, you would have woods and you would have access for people to walk through there and connect destination points forever. You might not think a highway is the most ideal place to have a nature walk, but it's very nice. We're working on one of these trails right now with a private landowner. It's a private trail right now, but it's a beautiful trail, and I think I think it'll connect to something, and it'll be just fantastic. Number 7 is working hard to connect Goshorn Creek and its tributaries wherever possible. So, for example, there's some gully lots off of 134th and Blue Star, right over there. Mike Haddock owns them, and he's talking with us too. And there's 8 acres there, and there's the Clearbrook Golf Course. Maybe someday, maybe someday the golf course will be developed or something. I think that the real estate pressures are driving prices so high now. I'm not sure if a golf course can be afforded there forever. So, perhaps there can be trails through there someday that go along Goshorn Creek and connect over all the way to Peterson's Preserve. Some of this master trail plan involves trying to create back pressure to the county to have some crosswalks going across Blue Star. If we had at least one, but hopefully 3 crosswalks, we could connect trails to Goshorn Lake from the Blue Star Highway. We could connect trails from in front of Pennyroyal to across the street to the bike trail. We have lots of ideas for those type of things, but mainly connecting through Goshorn Creek. That's not as developed as some of the others, but there's a lot of potential there. Number 8, the highway loop on the other side of the highway, the east side of the highway. The dog park is over there already, and if you walk from River Bluff along the highway, you're pretty much on woods on the east part of the highway all the way to the dog park. And there's not a whole lot of property owners on that side to work with to try to get an easement. This is the least developed plan. I haven't contacted any of these landowners yet, but the number 8 on the map here would be creating a trail that goes all the way and can connect to the western highway loop trail too, but also connect to the dog park. Number 9, the dog park connection to Silver Creek. Just so happens that the city of Saugatuck owns about 50 acres, as you see on number 10 on the map here. The Saugatuck owns about 10 acres of land over there, and they only really need about 20% of it where they burn things and dump. It's a dump site where they burn things, and you always want them to have that because it'll cost a couple $100,000 to pay somebody to deal with the things they deal with on that property. However, that said, the eastern portion of that property is virgin forest around Silver Creek, and those are some of the headwaters of Silver Lake. It's a beautiful creek in there. It's the most beautiful creek I've seen anywhere near 30 or 40 miles from here. It's It's surrounded by virgin forest. When I was there, there was coyote and fox and turkeys. I mean, it was fantastic land. Just so happens because township owns a lot of the land over near to the highway west of that Saugatuck's land. Saugatuck's land, don't be confused. Saugatuck's land is in township over there, the old airport, basically, east of the dog park. But you can actually connect a trail from the dog park over to this proposed new park. I only have 2 new parks proposed in the whole community trail master plan. And they're the Blue Star Park and the Silver Creek Park. Silver Creek Park, it's already owned. We don't really have to come up with a purchase plan on that if we can work with the town of Saugatuck. But better yet, there's only a couple of landowners as you follow the Silver Creek south to the Wade Memorial that's off of Old Allegan, the Wade Memorial Nature Preserve. And that's, there's just 2 private property owners, and they own the Silver Creek front there. And if they would allow us to do a 50-foot easement, we could connect the dog park all the way down to Silver Creek. Silver Lake. And Silver Lake, of course, is, a little bit of a tributary off of the Kalamazoo, and a lot of people's lake houses are there, and a lot of kids go, skiing and water tubing out there. But there's a park right there at the very beginning of Silver Lake. And then this creek runs all the way up, and you could basically walk along that and over to the dog park. And that's number 10 and 11 on my trail master plan of Saugatuck and Douglas. And that's everything I've pointed out up until now. So the only other thing that I'd like to bring to your attention is, why did I ever come up with this? Why am I working on this? I make a living doing independent invention. I've done it for 16 years. My business has supported my family, and I have a few hours a day I can put into this, and I choose to do that. I started out with this map, and I scanned this map in from the old, I think he was the old owner of the hardware store, but he was a cartographer for the Army, and he drew this map up, and many of you have seen it already. I asked him if I could scan it up and draw the trails. So if you look here, these aren't all really official trails you're allowed to walk on. The black ones are, but I have every trail that's in the peninsula area mapped. And so I came up with this trail master plan idea because when I was making this trail map, I started to realize that there's a lot of private property that can potentially be an expansion of the trails and an expansion of the 425 acres that's already preserved. And as I started to work on this map and start to talk to some of these private property owners here in the last remaining dune lands that aren't developed yet, I basically zoomed out the map and I said, well, what else can we do for the rest of Saugatuck? And hence the Trail Master Plan of Saugatuck and Douglas. And that's it. Now I'm going to open up a Q&A, and we can talk about this together and see how you can help. I'm going to keep on going. I don't need a township or a town or a Douglas to approve anything I'm doing. All I need to do is work with a nature conservancy company or organization rather, and private landowners. So I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to keep promoting the GoFundMe page, but I'm working with the ODC on a lot of these first easements. But I'm working with any conservation organization, including the Land Conservancy of West Michigan. So it's important to realize that my position is neutral. I'm just a resident here in Saugatuck, and I'm trying to make it so that we don't regret things later on, say 10, 20 years in the future, of things that we could have done. If you look around, there's been a lot of development over the last 10 years, and there will be a lot more development over the next 10 years, much more than you've seen in the last 10 years. It's going to be substantial, and it's going to be it's going to be like a parabolic curve. It's going to increase. And so we want to make sure that we're left with something that everybody's happy with. And I think that's the main drive behind my pushing the Trail Master Plan. So thank you. And thank you for listening to my speech.